Hello beautiful people of the internet. So in today's video, we are going to review RecurPost. RecurPost, for those of you who don't know, is a social media management tool that effectively allows you to plan, create and then post content to all major social media platforms, including TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest and all the other platforms as well. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Victor, and for the past 5 years, I've been in the social media game, first as an agency owner and now as a product founder. And on this channel, I review all major social media platforms, that is, help you navigate them, as well as the tools that make it possible to navigate them. Now, before we take a closer look at RecurPost's features and the product itself, just a quick look at their pricing. Because the pricing is a bit steep, especially in 2026, we can see that for the lowest plan, they are charging $9 per month. That is cheap. However, that only gives you access to 2 accounts that you can connect. And for those accounts, you can only make 10 posts. If you have any sort of scale, meaning, for example, you're a business, then you probably would want to stick to the $25 plan, where you get at least 5 accounts connected and 20 posts per social profile. And so that should normally be enough to post per account. RecurPost does get quite expensive, especially if you're on the agency side. So as we can see here, they charge $79 for 20 social profiles and then $4 for each additionally added profile. And that obviously, again, if you are an agency owner, if you manage 50, 100 or however many accounts, can get expensive very, very fast. Another thing that I don't personally like about RecurPost is the limitations in terms of the storage that you get. Now, when it comes to the starter plan, you get 10 GB, and then on the personal plan, you get 100 GB. Again, if you're just making image posts, that should be fine. However, if you are making video posts on platforms like TikTok or YouTube, then 100 GB will be hit quite fast. And so as a result, you do need to actively manage your media library. I'm now in the RecurPost product, and the product itself is fairly straightforward. So the way that they lead is basically just by prompting you to directly post. And so as we can now see, I have a bunch of accounts connected, and if I were to make a post, what I can now do is, let's say I pick my Pinterest account. Now if I were to upload an image, then I can again pick it from my device and have the image here. Now, the one thing, at least when it comes to Pinterest, that I don't like about RecurPost is the fact that they list each board individually. So if you connect your Pinterest account, you have to connect each board individually at the point of connecting, which, as you can now see, if I have multiple accounts or many different boards, in this case, I've only added, I think, 6 or 7 of our boards, and we have over 20 on Pinterest. Most account owners will probably have between 20 to 50 boards, give or take. And so as a result, that can be a little bit cumbersome. Otherwise, I find the posting here to be fairly straightforward. It has all the stuff that one needs, even a small AI assistant that is really, really neat and comes in handy. Now, when I click back, they also have a bunch of other options. So for example, I can also make a post with AI. So if I click on share a post, I also have the option to make a post with AI. And let's actually do that to test it. What we can see is, by the way, we have 100 credits. So this is fairly limited. Now, let's say I want to make a post for my Pinterest account. And now AI will probably run in the background, looking for. Now, what I don't really like, and it seems to be very, very bare bones, as we can now already see, it took 1 credit for 1 reply. That seems to be very, very restrictive. And as we can see, it doesn't really take a look at my account. So I asked it to make a post for my Pinterest account, and it basically just adds it to the posting modal here. So it's very, very bare bones, I gotta say. What I would have expected here is basically it takes my account, it analyzes it and makes sure that it understands my business, and then it finds the correct caption, the correct hashtags and everything on top. Now, one of the things that I really like about RecurPost, and that is definitely a strength that I haven't seen in a lot of other ones, are their DM automations. These are only available for Instagram, but it is something that we actually use for cooking app Pantry as well. So basically, and it's actually very easy to set up, you can just click here through the automation. You can specify it on all posts or on a given post for here. So in this case, if I were to pick all posts, just to walk you through, I can also pick any comment or specific keywords. So that is again the stuff that you want. So in this case, let's do recipe, let's do recipe, let's do cooking, just again to walk you guys through, and then reply in DM instantly. Here is the recipe and DM, and let's start this automation. So that I really like. It's really, really simple, very straightforward, and now that one can also be easily deleted. Now continuing on the product, I also do generally like the analytics, even though they are a bit bare bones. So for example, Pinterest, we have the impressions, the followers, the engagement, and the engagement rate. However, there are a bunch of additional metrics that, for example, also you could get with Pinterest. Same, for example, with, let's say, in Instagram. The metrics themselves are a bit bare bones. However, most of the time, especially when it comes to just sharing reports and sharing them with clients, they are mostly just interested in likes and followers and the views. And then finally, we have their content calendar, which is basically standard practice. So you can see all your posts here in different types of views. So here I can see monthly, the monthly view. And then when I click into the post, I can also edit it if I wanted to. Now, if RecurPost, especially in 2026, feels a bit overpriced and limited for what it offers, then my number one alternative for RecurPost would be to try out a product called GenViral.io. With GenViral, you can also schedule and post and create content for all kinds of social media platforms. So all the major ones like TikTok, Facebook, and everything are included. Now, one of the big differentiators between RecurPost and GenViral is their pricing. And as we can already see, for $29 a month, that is the cheapest plan, you get 10 accounts. So just to go back to RecurPost pricing, you would have to pay $25 a month to get 5 accounts. And with GenViral, you get 10 accounts for $20 a month. And so consequently, as the plans scale, you also get more bang for your buck. On top of that, you also get varying amounts of AI credits, as you can see here, which you can then use to create content with AI. And that is basically the strength, or one of the strengths of GenViral, is their content creation capabilities, alongside also their agentic layer. So you can create content with AI, or if you bring, for example, your own solution, if you have your own setup, then you can also use the API and CLI to be able to create content via those endpoints. I'm now logged into the GenViral product, and as we can see, they basically lead with virality. What do I mean by that? They basically show you content that is already doing well on different kinds of social media platforms. So if I, for example, search this library here for terms like university, and I can search it semantically, which is really, really cool to get actual inspiration of what's actually trending on social media right now. So if we now pick maybe this slideshow here, we can also see a bunch of data around it. So for example, the views, likes, and everything. And as we can see, this is about 4 rules of university. So as we can see, there's basically the 4 rules here. And now what we can do is I can click here on use template, and it basically copies the prompt that is required to create this particular slideshow. So now we have the prompt created on our behalf, and let's not have the product created. What we can also see, by the way, here is they have the auto image function, so you don't even have to look for images. They are being searched on your behalf, and there's a bunch of other things available. For example, you can also save this here as a template, and so when you click next time, you can just have this being created on your behalf. Now, I won't do that and have this just be created now in the background. And while this is being created, I'm just going to show you a bunch of other features. Next, we have their so-called automations. So automations are practically slideshows, the ones that I just showed you on start. So if I maybe pick this template here about cats and 7 secrets that I don't want to know about them, what we can now see is a similar panel with the individual slideshows, the prompt being injected. Let's put in test, and let's just create 10 just to have a lower number. And again, here I can pick auto images. In this case, they're picked from an image pack because they're in template, but I could also theoretically pick them from auto, from having them AI generated, etc., etc. Now, click on continue and have that being generated. And in the meantime, the next feature that GenViral has, again coming back to the whole content generation bit, is their AI studio. So as you can now see, this is basically where we create our content for our cooking app Pantry AI. This is the type of content, by the way, we post to our Pinterest, to our Facebook account. These types of infographics here, as you can see this one here. Within the AI Studio, they have a bunch of templates as well. So if you don't know how to get started, you can click here and use these templates. The same, by the way, also applies to videos. So if you wanted to replicate a certain video, then you can click here on clone video and it will crop and allow you to adopt this particular video. Now, just to show you maybe one feature of the AI Studio. So what you can do is you can actually copy existing content, which will greatly speed up the time for you it takes to generate that content. What do I mean by this? Well, so if I click here on context, we now have this recipe here. And what I want to do now is I want to change this to French toast. So I write, please change this to French toast. And now AI, not charging me anything, will change this to French toast on my behalf. And then I can click on generate and have, as we can now see, French toast. Everything else is still the same apart from this fact. And now I click on generate and this thing is being done in the background for us. All right, and now let's check back on some of our creations with GenViral. So on the slideshow bit that we done before. Now, as we can see, I opened DAO 1 and we have here the 4 rules in university. And as we can see, it found the relevant images. So attendance is optional, but regret isn't. Yeah, that's not too bad. And it found pretty relevant images that we can now, by the way, edit. So if I want to change, for example, the font or the style of the font, I can do all of that as well. So everything that you want and can do in, let's say, TikTok is also available here in GenViral. Coming back to the automations, as we now also see the automations are done. And again, this is why I said slideshows on steroids. So now let's, for example, pick these 3 here. And as we can see, we have only the hook slide selected. So what I can do is I can say, please make all the text uppercase. And now what it does is for these 3 slides and only the hook slide, it will make the text uppercase. And now, yep, the text is uppercase. So as we can see, it will save us a lot of time creating content across all the different social media platforms. And just to mark down the final point, here is the image, now the French toast image that we generated. Again, this took me just a few seconds and we have a readily available image post that I can go ahead and post to our socials. Now, when it comes to the social features, that is, for example, the calendar, all of that is also available in GenViral. So as we can see here, we have the weekly views, we have all kinds of other views that we can aggregate it to. If I click into one of my posts, again, similar to RecurPost, I have all the essentials, all the data that I need. Similarly as well, if I wanted to make a post, I've actually didn't show it, but just to show you as well. From, for example, here, I can also directly post, and this will open the modal, the posting modal that is common across the entire product. So if I now look for Pantry AI or Pinterest, I can now have all the native Pinterest elements here, by the way, as well. So as I mentioned before, we have all the Pinterest boards here. I don't have to manually and individually add them. I can literally just have them scraped automatically and have the pin title and everything added here as well. And then from there, I would schedule or publish it directly. When it comes to analytics, almost all major analytics are included as well. So as we can see, we basically have this view that we can filter based on a given platform. So if I, let's say, filter on TikTok, then I only get TikTok data. And I can then also make sure to do the same for, let's say, an individual TikTok account, or if I wanted to filter on just an individual, let's say, Instagram account, then that is obviously possible as well. Finally, in terms of your whole media library, GenViral has a very sophisticated media library as well. So this is where all your AI images would appear, the ones we, for example, just generated. This is where you could upload and create content. By the way, you can drag and drop content. You can also drag and drop folders into each other. You can create subfolders. You can, by the way, also create and train your own AI character. So as you can see here, I'm in my personal profile now. This is where I've trained my character. But effectively, you would just upload images of yourself. It charges 50 credits. And then from there, you can reuse yourself to be able to, for example, generate YouTube thumbnails and the likes. I'll show you that final in a bit. Now, the final bit that I wanted to mention is they also have integrations. So you can, for example, also import content from Canva and Dropbox, and platforms like a Google Drive will follow suit as well. And just again, to finally show you what I mean by the AI training. So as we can see here, I'm actually using Genvile also to create our YouTube thumbnails for the channel. And all of that is made possible by the consistent character feature. So in this case, because I've trained a character on my likeliness, as we can see here on the models and use cases, I have consistent character. And then from there, I can select myself and have AI-based images created, like for example, the YouTube thumbnail. So this is it. This is the video. If you have any questions about RecurPost or Genvile or social media in general, then feel free to let me know. This whole channel is again about social media content generation, about the social media platforms. So if there are any questions, let me know in the comment section. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.